So if you're wondering what's going on in Rancho Santa Fe, that's exactly what we're getting into today. We are at the tail end of 2022. Let you know what's going on as we do these market updates for different neighborhoods. They're all a little bit different. Rancho is kind of its own beast. It's kind of one of the more boring zip codes as far as numbers and what's going on, but that's what we're going to get into today and let you know what's exactly going on right now. And then at the end, kind of what to expect going into 2023, because there is a lot of changes that have happened across the board with the economy, with everything going on. Will that affect what's happening in Rancho Santa Fe? Well, we'll let you know. So as always, thanks for tuning in. We love making these videos for you, but we are also real estate agents right here in North County, San Diego. So if you guys are thinking about making the move, just want to start that conversation, have some questions. The number is popping up right now. Hit us up, call, text, email. We got your back.
Wherever it is.
Wherever it is. It's right in the middle there.
Somewhere there.
I'm Chris Erickson.
Loren Sanders with the Beach Life Group.
So hit us up if you guys need some help. Let's get into what's happening in Rancho Santa Fe. I'll bring up a few little slides here so you can kind of see what we're looking at and what numbers we are checking out. This is something we pull from, it's Altos Research. It's a third-party data center. It kind of gives you an idea of how's the market. This little gauge in the middle is it more of a buyer's market? Is it more of a seller's market? Obviously, if you get towards that left side there, you're looking at the buyer's market. As you go towards the right side, you're looking at a seller's market. Rancho's kind of funny, whereas in other neighborhoods around North County, San Diego, Encinitas, Solana Beach, kind of all the surrounding neighborhoods there, Carlsbad especially, this market, this gauge was heavily skewed to sellers.
Like in the 80s and 90s, just for some context.
Early it was on the far right side of that gauge. Rancho Santa Fe kind of never really peaked above 40. So it was kind of in that 30, 35, maybe 40-ish range at the very top of the market when everything else was going nuts. And that's kind of typical. It's its own, like I said, it's its own market out there. Even though it is that, you can see it is still slowing a little bit as everything has across North County, San Diego. What are you seeing, Loren?
Actually, some unique stuff I saw in the San Diego numbers as a whole when you look at price brackets, because one of the things I'm looking at is as we get to the end of the year, what price brackets are moving, what adjustments are happening. And even in like 2 to 5 million, the inventory is up like 72% in San Diego as a whole. 5 million and plus inventory is actually down almost 11%. So the number of properties available, which is kind of interesting when you look at the numbers for 92067 part of Rancho Santa Fe. The close, I think they were at 4.8 million for closings last month, and year to date, it's 4.6 million is the median price, which is opposite of what, if you look at many other zip codes, the trend in San Diego as a whole, I think the median price is 948. If you look year to date, but when you just look at October, it's down to 844, I think it was. Some markets are decelerating, kind of. Rancho's always its own entity.
Yeah.
The higher income properties too, a lot of them go for cash, so
which will show
interest rates haven't affected that.
Yeah, the difference between last year and this year on the next slide here. But compared to last year, the numbers that we're looking at, that new listings 18 and then in the parentheses 28 was last year. So new listings are down almost 36%. So we're seeing less homes. This story kind of plays out through all the other zip codes as well. What we're seeing, less new listings come on the market, less pending sales, meaning less homes going into escrow, and in turn, less closed sales. So that's all these comparable numbers, that 14 to the parentheses 8, pending sales down about 43%, and closed sales down over 40% year over year, comparing October last year to October this year. And like I said, a lot of that is the same in different zip codes, meaning less buyers out there, a lot more uncertainty in the market, what's going to happen.
Some seasonality is coming back into the market. We almost lost our seasons for a couple years when the market was really moving. Anyway, so we're definitely, prices have decelerated. Anytime in neighborhoods in the higher price bracket, the different zip codes that are higher price brackets, it takes longer to sell them, and they have their own kind of rhythm versus the rest of the market. In general, higher end markets do many times kind of lead into a downturn and then lead out of it because those folks have more wherewithal, obviously.
Yeah.
And
and then months supply of inventory is the number we track. You don't necessarily need to know it, but it's kind of gives you a gauge on how many homes are available out there. In Rancho last year was like 3.2 months. Right now we're sitting about 4 months. So it's not that different. Whereas like in some neighborhoods in Encinitas, it was under 1 month, meaning there's a ton of turnaround, not a ton of homes on the market. Rancho's kind of stayed a little bit steadier through this time. And part of it, a lot of those transactions are for cash, just even comparing. So it's not as affected by interest rates, are not as much affected in those in the higher price points. In October 2022, over 60% of the homes sold for cash, whereas 2021, when interest rates were a bit lower, well, a lot lower, probably more than half what they are right now, still 48% sold for cash, which is higher than a lot of other neighborhoods, but it's pretty standard for out there. A lot of people transacting in cash, but it's even higher this year. So that's kind of what Loren was chatting about earlier.
Significantly higher. And that's just interesting. If you can borrow money at 3% or 4%, probably good to borrow somebody else's money. But when it gets a little more expensive, although we had some great news yesterday, in the bond market rally and stock market rallied pretty big too, but mortgage rates dropped the most they've dropped in a day for a long time, a little over half a point yesterday. That was a big drop because definitely of the inflation news that came out. The guys I read, it's like, yeah, that was a better number. And I think there was some pent up wanting it to be better. So it kind of went crazy, but we need three of these numbers to kind of see maybe there's some trend in it, hopefully, of lower prices.
Yeah, and talk about prices. So this is comparing Rancho Santa Fe on the top. You have Solana Beach in the middle and Del Mar at the bottom. And like we mentioned, every neighborhood's different. And Rancho Santa Fe, this line is going for the median list price. So of homes that are currently on the market, you could see that peak up, that was kind of like earlier in the year when it was kind of moving pretty quickly. As with most neighborhoods, we have seen a drop in that, but most neighborhoods around have seen that drop continue, where Rancho Santa Fe a few months back, that there's kind of an inflection point where it started trending back up. Part of it, there's not a ton of data set out there, so there's not a ton of sales compared to other neighborhoods, but you can see Solana Beach relatively flat as far as that median list price. And Del Mar peaked at the same time as kind of the other two, and we're still trending down in that neighborhood. It's kind of a tale of many different zip codes and different neighborhoods.
With these reports that we're pulling a lot of this stuff from, it's a weekly update on what's going on, which kind of keeps us on top of what's current in the market. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over this next year.
So heading into 2023, what are we expecting, Loren?
I'm expecting another interesting year, but not as volatile as this year. This has been one of those years where we've gone from white hot market to, a big halt was put on the market. Even our last numbers in San Diego as a whole, the number of closings were up 40-something%. We're probably year to date in San Diego going to end up with 30% less sales or so when you just look at the total year. Then you got to look at that and say, what's that in relationship to, if you base it on 2020 and 2021, the years were kind of outliers where the market really moved. But I guess we'll probably go back to the trend a little bit, how interest rates is going to be the big deal in the economy. Those two factors will play a big part.
Definitely. So if you guys are thinking about selling or have some questions, want to pick our brains, what's going on in Rancho Santa Fe or any of those surrounding neighborhoods, once again, we are real estate agents right here in North County. So number is popping up. Hit us up, call, text, or email. We got your back. We're moving in and around North County. We'll catch you guys all on the next one.
Have a great week.